Okay, so I've got a sample loop right here. I'm gonna play it back, of course. Let's see, I'll do the loop here. Now my thing here is to pretty much get this thing to chop up into a bunch of different pieces. It's a pretty long loop. I love the loop because it's a live drummer. I can't tell if he's playing to a metronome, but it does sound pretty good. Now watch this. So it went back in a loop. Now, of course, I am in sample edit mode. I'm here in trim, and you can see that this is the loop pad I'm hitting. I'm striking the loop and not the loop. And so what I want to do is show you that I made the beginning perfect, the end perfect, and it looped. Now, what I want to do in this next part is I want to chop this sample up. Now, what I could do at this point, I could either extract this sample from the main sample, or I could... Let's see, let's go to here. I could discard the beginning and the end. I can also, let's see, delete, extract. Now here I want to make a new sample, leave that sample the way it is, and continue on from there. The first thing I want to do though, I want to normalize these samples. I want to make this sample here sound pretty loud. As loud so it doesn't peak out. So you can see here, this is maximum height, right? And this is the minimal thing here with small, not big enough. So what I want to do here is I want to press do it and normalize. And so now you can see here that everything between the end and the start is normalized. It's bigger than it was before. I can play a little bit of it back. That's pretty loud. Accurate. Let's turn it off. Okay, I got that part. The next thing I want to do here is I want to probably extract this out of this sample itself. I want to keep the original. Just a bad habit of mine, which actually is a good habit, to always keep the original sample. You don't want to sort of like make a bunch of ideas work and then all of a sudden you say, I don't like that. Plus, you don't want to keep degrading the sample by doing all kind of stuff to it over and over. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go back one. I want to extract to a new sample. And notice here, of course, the MPC program gives it a name, right? Right there it says one, which is cool. So I'll leave it at that. I'll press do it. And now it's done it. But I don't see it here, right? So I got to find it. And there it is right there. Went up one. And this is it right here. Right? You can see how big it is compared to the other one. See the difference there? Okay, so now what I want to do, I'm going to do chop. So here I am. I'm in chop. I was in here before. I was in trim. I go to here. I'm in chop now. This works for an MPC One, MPC ONE PLUS, MPC X, MPC XSE, MPC Live, and MPC Live 2, and of course, MPC Key 61. Same thing happens. Same software. So what I'm going to do next is chop this up manually. That's manual right there, right? Let's go. Okay, as you can see here, we have 12 different pads. And the green one here signifies the last pad I hit, right? So I can come here, I'll hit pad 4. That's pad 4. I hit pad 5. 1. The same, right? We've got a bunch of different samples now from that one long sample, and we have the ability to use these samples any way we want to. Now, the one problem that could happen here is that if you don't hit the pad right, you're going to have to go back in and sort of make these sections fit perfectly, and sometimes that's required. Now, luckily, I have a sample here that I know the BPM of, and I actually cut the beginning and end off, and it gives me, 12 sections here? An easier way is this. An easier way is to do this. So the best thing to do is to go right to here, and of course, we'll see here that in settings, the bottom here, I have this timeline units. And so I have time, we have samples, and we have beats as a measure of units. I'm going to press here and go to close. And so you'll see here, currently, it's in time. That means from the time I started to the time I end it, that's time. And I want to change it, of course, here. And I'm going to call it samples. It's samples now, as you can see. And I'll do it again. And now I'm in beats. I prefer beats. As you can see here, it's 1 up to 12. You see that? And so I know I've got 12 measures here. And the drummers played 12 measures out, and we sampled all 12, and we chopped them up into 12 different parts. And so doing it by hand manually is cool. But what I do prefer to do is to do it just based on region. So what I'll tend to do, if I don't like this, I will come back to here. I'll get this eraser tool. I may come to here. I'll drag this little thing back here. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of all these right here. Right? And what I want to do is go to region. I go to region, and they're all chopped up. Let's see, there's too many. I've got 16 set up. But since I know I'm in beats, I know what I need is just 12. I'll come to here where it says regions. I'll go right there. I have the red border around that number, and of course the title. I just want 12 of these. And now I'll try it again. Now that I have a bunch of regions, 12 regions to be exact, now that I have all these regions, I can just hit any one of them. It's going to fit. Watch this. Pretty cool. And they're cut perfectly. Now I can always go back in. This is a human being playing. There may be some problems here, but this drum is kind of smoking. And so even if he is, I still want to go back and check all my little chops right here. But this is a great way to chop. It's my favorite way to chop because I already know the outcome. I already chopped it up. I already have everything lined up. It's maximized in terms of normalization of being a great output. And this is how you do it. Now, once I've got my chops right, I want to make a program. That means I'm going to have this one program, I'm going to have these chops in here. These 12 pads will be part of that program, and I could use it anytime I want to use it. So I would normally go to here, I'll press Shift. Matter of fact, let's look closer. And next, I want to make a program. And to do such a thing, I will need to press Shift, and you'll notice that the bottom menu changed, right? No more Shift. I press Shift now, so we see Zoom is gone. And we see programs gone, one shot, all stuff's here. I want to do convert, so I can clear all also and start over again. I want to go to here and go convert. And now I can make it into a program. It says new drum program using slices. Yep, that's it. Non-destructive. That means it just marked off what are the separate regions, but didn't destroy the entire sample. Okay, that's what we want to do. And I'll just press do it. And now we have our program. Next what I want to do is I want to go to a blank sequence. Nothing's here at all, as you can see right there. I'm going to go here to program. Let's tap here, get that red border, turn it. There's this program. So now I know this is going to work, right? So this is so cool. I got the program here. It's really great. And I got to get my BPM correct, of course, but I'll be good. And my BPM, you can see, is right there. 126 BPM. I'd come to here, I want to go, when I press this button in, that's good. I go 1, 2, 6, 0, 0, and there we go. I'll push my knob in again. I can press do it too. But now I have the perfect setup. Each one of these single pads will fit no matter what. This looks good, sounds good. I got no problem with it. But there's a problem that has to be solved. And that problem is choice. Choice of speed. Should it be faster or slower? Depending on the ultimate consumer. It could be a singer, could be a rapper, it could be a commercial. It could be a director of a film. You do not know what they're going to use and how they're going to use it, but you should be prepared for that. And the best thing to do is to warp it out. Now, obviously, we know it's going to be 126, right? And so what I want to do here is going to go to warp samples right there. And so now what I want to do is make sure every sample is warped properly. So I'm going to come to get my first sample. I'll select warp. I see it says 120. No, it shouldn't be. I come to here. I want to go to 126. Next sample. Same thing. Until I get them all to be at the right tempo they loop at. I want to make sure they all match up. So I'm going to pick all the samples I actually used. This one too. I think this one was 1 too. Right? So now I can deal with it and change the speed to whatever I want and it will match up. I have everything lined up. Of course, you can see once you're here in Maine and you go to here, you're in the program. So I went to, of course, here, and of course, we are in samples, and there I can see my warp. So now everything's warped out. I will just go back to Maine here, and now we'll test this out. So I'll press first to get a reminder of what it's at, 126. We got that. So now let's go down. And I want to go down here. Let's try 110. And I'll press play start. Now that works. But you notice also the drummer plays a real heavy accent on the one beat, right? On the very first beat of every measure. So let's try something else. Let's get a different tempo we can use. Let's go faster. Hey, can't hurt. Let's try 130. Now that works. So it's always cool to warp those samples out, and this way you'll be able to use it at any tempo, any speed. Now the problem with warping, of course, it sounds really weird the further it gets away from the actual main warp speed, or the actual root where it's the same speed that we sampled at. So I tend to always use time stretch, which we'll do another video, but this is what you do when you want to get something and see if someone likes at a certain speed. If you get the speed you like at that point, then we can always time stretch.